Hello, 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 vinyl community. My name's Robert. I am brand new to the vinyl community, but not new to vinyl collecting. I have been picking up records since I was at a very young age, where you can tell I am obviously not any longer. So I've decided to jump into the vinyl community with the vinyl tag of 2022, and I'm going to try to run through it rather quickly, which will be difficult. So, starting with, and we are doing the Rob Walker's edition, number one question, favorite purchase of 2021. Now, I'm not going to be real big on the actual year of things going through here unless it's required. So we'll see how that goes as we go. And my first selection here is, and my favorite album from 2021 is Todd Snider's Cash Cabin Sessions Volume 3. Now, similar to the Traveling Wilburys, there is actually no Volume 2 or Volume 1. So there's only Volume 3. It's an excellent album. If you're not familiar with Todd Snider, he is a singer-songwriter, extremely humorous, but making extreme poignant points in his writing. Very entertaining. Loves to tell stories, and they are great. If you have not checked him out, pick up something by Todd Snider. There's actually one newer than this, and I do not have it as of yet. So that is my favorite selection from 2021, or at least one of them. Number two on the list, first person that you had seen live and an album by them. In 1968, I begged my parents, I'm not proud of this, to make my brother take me to see Paul Revere and the Raiders. This was not only my very first concert, this was also the very first album I purchased with my own money, just like us. Been a fan of Paul Revere and the Raiders ever since Where the Action Is came on my television every afternoon at 4:30, and I rushed home from school to squat in front of the television and watch these guys be silly, very similar to the Monkees and or the Beatles. But they were a great band. We lost Paul Revere last year. Phil Volk, also known as Fang, is very still active in the music business, and he's on Facebook. If you don't love Paul Revere and the Raiders, check them out. Our next question is a duo. A lot of ways I could have gone with this, and I just decided to go with Sonny and Brownie. This is my MoFi edition, which is still sealed. I know some people are not fans of having sealed albums, but I have other versions of this so that I can play it. And this is number 369. Brownie Mcgee was actually born and raised nearby where I live now. They are a great Piedmont Delta blues type duo. If you're not familiar with their music, I highly recommend you give them a try. Number 4, In Shrink. I have oodles of albums still in the shrink, and what I did was I grabbed my Tom Waits, Brawlers, Bastards, and Ballers. I originally had the first pressing of the box set of this. We have since parted ways, And when these came out on Record Store Day, I decided that I needed to replace them. And I think there was 6 bonus tracks in the box set that I do not have now. But I'm grateful that I got my hands on these. All right, after that, a concept album. I went way back into the dim and dark past for this one. Nectar, Remember the Future. This is one of those concept albums that is basically a single track. Every song segues into the next. Nectar is actually an English band that moved to Germany, and most of their recorded output comes from Germany. And they are active again and touring. So if you get an opportunity, I highly recommend that you remember the future and go check out Nectar. Album that I haven't played. I bought a box of records at a yard sale one time, and I found this album in there, still sealed, The Prophet. And it is featuring Richard Harris, the original Dumbledore, and The Man Called Horse. So I have not heard this album. It's actually still sealed. Have not played it at all. I think I will eventually get around to it. So that's my album that I have not heard. Not that it's the only one. Artists discovered in 2021. I'm going to show a couple. These were newer bands that I wasn't sure about because I haven't really pursued newer bands as much as I ought to, but I am open-minded. And I heard a couple of songs by these guys, saw a video, and then I went out and had to fetch the deluxe edition of the Black Pumas. What an awesome album. If you like R&B, funk, they do a great version of Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Eleanor Rigby, they do Eleanor Rigby. And the deluxe edition is a gatefold. It comes with a second LP, colored vinyl, and a 7-inch single. So very glad I got my hands on that. And the second band I want to mention is Lake Street Dive. This is a band that came to me from the Magnolia Record Club, and I'd like to give them a shout out. Every album that I have received from them have been exclusive colored vinyl, limited editions, and I have not been unhappy with the quality of the bands that they've been sending, and this one especially. The lead singer in this band has a voice that is unbelievable, and if you look them up on YouTube, they recently went up to the roof and covered the Beatles' rooftop concert. For some reason, their lead guitar player's not with them. He's in the recording, but a cardboard cutout replaces him during the filming. So this is Lake Street Dive. Free Yourself Up. And it has a hit, Good Kisser, if you've heard that. All right. Moving right along. Live album. This is a live album and a box set. Wilco, Kicking Television. It's a 4 LP set. Great live album. If you're a fan of Wilco, if you're not, you need to give them a shot. They are one of those bands that a lot of their material has to kind of grow on you. I had a cousin tell me once when I was very young that the music that has to grow on you will stay with you much longer. and I have learned that to be very true. This is out of print. I don't know if you can even find a copy of it anymore, but I'm very glad it's in my collection. Album from a different continent. This is from a series, and I'm sure you've probably seen them some, especially during Record Store Day, the Rough Guides. And this is the Rough Guide to African Guitar Legends. I should get it out of the wrapper. It's in the shrink. And this was manufactured in the UK, so that's a different continent from me. I am in the US of A. And I have discovered a lot of really great music through this series. And this one is no exception. Album with a price sticker still on it. I've got a couple of them here. Jeff Beck, Emotion and Commotion. It's got a price sticker. It's got hype sticker. And it falls under the category of an album I have not listened to yet. Can't go wrong with Jeff Beck. Secondly, my Mo-Fi version of Pictures at an Exhibition. It's still got the price sticker right up there and a couple of other stickers. It was originally $17.97. So there's Pictures at an Exhibition. Alright, punk. I am not a huge punk fan, to be honest, but I am a fan of the Nuggets series, thanks to Rhino Records. So what I pulled here is Punk Nuggets. This is a 2 LP compilation on white vinyl. Got the Ramones, Television, Richard Hell, Dead Boys, Patti Smith, Johnny Thunders, 999, Gang of Four, The Germs, The Fear, Misfits, The Replacements, Rank and File, Flamin' Groovies, Stiff Little Fingers. It's a good comp, and it's part of the Nuggets series, so I grab everything I can in that series. Now we're down to box sets. I went way back on this one. One of my favorite bands and one of my favorite box sets. 20 years of Jethro Tull, excuse me. This is the vinyl edition, 5 LPs. When this came out, there was a huge percentage of unreleased material in this box set. A lot of it now has come out on the reissues of the CDs. But I'm really glad to have this. The Eric Clapton Crossroads won the Grammy that year for the box set, but I think this one should have been in contention. Alright, a sports related concept. The first one I was going to pick for this, I couldn't put my hands on immediately, but I do have it, and that's Nick Mason's Fictitious Sports. But what I could grab was Roy Harper, When an Old Cricketer Leaves the Crease. This is the American pressing of this album, and it is a fantastic album, quite progressive, got a lot of pop elements to it. If you're not familiar, I'm sure you know Hats Off to Roy Harper, and you know he sang Have a Cigar on the Pink Floyd album Wish You Were Here. I highly recommend you run this down if you aren't familiar already. Alright, we're up to number 14, and it is the jazz category. I don't have a huge selection of jazz, but I've got a bit. One of my favorites, Chet Baker, Love for Sale. This is live at the Rising Sun Celebrity Jazz Club, and it's a 2 LP. Beautiful stuff. I highly recommend any Chet Baker. Probably don't have to tell you guys. And this is a new acquisition, a new pressing of Mingus. And it is absolutely gorgeous. Very quiet, unique pressing on the DOL label. Alrighty. We are going up to number 15, and that is a best of. That was an easy one. Strictly Commercial, Frank Zappa. I understand this one's a little difficult to get a hold of nowadays. So again, I'm glad I've got mine. Number 16, cover with a minimum of 8 people on the cover. The best of the Ramsey Lewis trio. And he's got the whole family on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good album. I love Ramsey Lewis. It does have the In Crowd, theme from The Pawnbroker, Mother Nature's Son. '17, soundtrack. I was going to go with The Big Lebowski, but it didn't jump out at me immediately. So I've got a pink vinyl copy of Reservoir Dogs. And secondly, a green vinyl copy of the Darjeeling Limited. So we've got a little Wes Anderson there. Okay. Number 18, VCLT. I have none. Y'all don't know who I is yet, but that's okay. Number 19, no writing on the cover. I wasn't sure if that meant the entire cover. This is Need to Breathe, Hard Love. And it is actually just the front cover that has no writing. This is also a selection that I got from the Magnolia Record Club. Shout out to Magnolia Record Club. But then I've got Young Person's Guide to King Crimson. Except for that Jim sticker, there's nothing on the front cover. And there's no writing on the back cover. So I believe that qualifies. And who doesn't love King Crimson? We're down to single. This is an unusual single, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with Not Lame Records, which is no longer with us, I'm afraid. But I'm pretty sure that's where I got this. This is from Tallboy Records. Presents Do Ya. This is a transparent single. It's got 4 versions of the ELO tune Do Ya by Kenny Howes and the Yeah, Linus of Hollywood, The Parallax Project, and Einstein's Sister. So I thought that was pretty unusual. I do have a lot of cool 45s I could pull from. So we're going to stick with that one for the time being. Number 21, colored vinyl. You know, there's colored vinyl, and then there's splattered vinyl. This probably falls more into the category of splattered. Beach House, once again, from Magnolia. But check this out. It's a double LP. Both of them are similar. But that is a gorgeous pressing. Quite unusual. So that's Beach House. And finally, an album from 1982. And I had to do a little research on Discogs to find out what came out in 1982. And this underrated, which I know is an overrated, overused term, 10cc. 10 out of 10. You know, there's only Eric Stewart and Graham Goodham left, but they put together a really nice record here. And if you had dropped 10cc by this time, I highly recommend you back up and pick this one up. So that gets us down to the end of the vinyl tag for 2022. I hope you've enjoyed my video. I hope it wasn't way too long. I don't know how often I'll be making videos. Frankly, I don't know how often I can afford to buy records right now. But I love records. I love music. If you can see behind me, I dance around different formats. I'm a big fan of surround sound, SACD and DVD-A. So I've got tons of stuff to listen to, and I'm grateful for that, and a fairly nice system to listen to it on. I have had some upheaval in my existence in the last few years. Therefore, currently my record collection is in more than one location. So this was all based on stuff that I could put my hands on, and that's probably why I couldn't grab Fictitious Sports by Nick Mason, the heir apparent of the Pink Floyd title. But I appreciate the vinyl community. There's a lot of you I could name check out there, Melinda, Mazzy, and many others. I watch your videos frequently and comment occasionally. But hopefully I will be back and share with you some shorter videos as to what I have in my collection. So you folks have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you on the vinyl tag.